Okay, today's learning goal is we will activate some prior knowledge of order of operations, sometimes called BEDMAS. Okay, so brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. We're going to try and get all that activated again. So just a reminder, exponents, and this is really important, okay, to note the difference here. Exponents are used to represent repetitive multiplication. Okay, so if you notice here, I have repetitive multiplication. So I have 5 4s all multiplied together. So that's 4 times 4 times 4, etc. Okay, notice the difference. That little 5 is small and written as a superscript. It's up high. So that's 4 to the power of 5. It's called 4 to the 5th. You get a very large number when you multiply that together, 1024. Note the difference though from repetitive addition, which is what we call multiplication. So you'll notice by the time you add up 5 4s, you only get a value of 20. So how you write these things makes a huge difference on the net values you come up with. So please note, exponents are a little smaller and they're raised up above the number. Multiplication, same size on the same line. So let's try a couple. 4 squared. Okay, that's the first one. So this is a 4 times a 4. Okay, so that's 16. Okay, and it's okay if you said 8. Lots of people say 8. It's one of these things we have to work through. When you see a 4 and a 2 next to each other, people will yell out the answers 8. Okay, so let's look at the next one. 9 to the power of 2, or 9 squared. Again, the fast answer people yell out is 18, and that's wrong. It's 9 times 9, which is 81. Okay, so if you want to pause it for a moment here and try the next 4 on your own, and then we'll take them up. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, negative 1 in a bracket all squared means I have negative 1 times negative 1. Okay, so a negative, 2 negatives multiplied together, that's an even number of negatives, so my answer is positive, and 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, I'll get a lot of answers of 2 on that question. Next one, 12 squared. This is 12 times 12. Okay, so it's not 24, it's 144. Bottom one, 4 cubed, or 4 to the power of 3. Okay, so 4 times 4, those two together right there is 16. And now it's 16 times 4, which is 64. Okay, and then now lastly, 2 to the 5th. Lots of answers will be 10. That will be incorrect. This is, I'm just using dots for multiplication because my space is a little bit tied up. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So the answer here is 32. Okay, so that's a quick recap of exponents. So let's go back over what BEDMAS actually means. It could be, some people use parentheses. I tend to use brackets just because it makes an easier word to remember. It is worth noting that multiplication and division, the order can be switched, and addition and subtraction, the order can be switched. So you could spell this B-E-D-M-A-S, so BEDMAS or BEMDAS if you wanted to do that. It just makes an easier word to remember when we say it, BEDMAS. Okay, so brackets are things like this. They could be squiggly, they can be square, it doesn't really matter. Brackets, you do everything inside the brackets first. Okay, so what that means is once you enter a bracket, you start BEDMAS again. If there's another bracket inside that bracket, then you start BEDMAS again. Okay, so we're going to try a bunch here. It's probably easier to work through them and show you how it is than to try and explain it. So here's the reason why we need BEDMAS. So I'm going to do this 2 ways. I'm going to just do it from left to right, and I'm going to do it following BEDMAS. And this is mostly a communication issue. So if you have 16 minus 3 times 4, well, if you write 16 minus 3 times 4, and you just go from left to right, these first two here, 16 minus 3 would become 13. then you would have 13 times 4, and that is 52. Okay, now if you come over here and you do it following BEDMAS, you would have to do, there are no brackets, there are no exponents, there's no division. You do have multiplication, so that means you have to do this first. So 16 minus 12. Now we've done that, we go to addition, there's none, we do have a subtraction, we do that last, and we get an answer of 4. And it isn't to say that either method is wrong, but when we're talking to people and we're solving questions, we like to have a consistency. So we follow BEDMAS. Where you have to be really careful is your calculators don't always do this naturally. Okay, so some calculators might spit this answer out, others might have BEDMAS programmed in, and they'll approach it the correct way. Okay, so let's try a bunch. If you want to pause it and take or give your answer first, and then you can wait to see what we write down. So pause it and give it a shot. Okay, so if we have BEDMAS, and I'll try and write this on each one, but I might forget. There are no brackets in this problem, there's no exponents, and there's no division. So we have multiplication that has to be done before the adding and subtracting. So if I multiply these guys together, I get 24. And now I'm going to drop the brackets because I've used them up. I then am subtracting 2 times 5, which is 10. So I've now done the multiplication, no addition left. 24 minus 10, 14. Cool. Okay, so again, pause it, give it a try. All right, let's give it a whirl. Okay, so we do have brackets. Okay, so this bracket right here, though, there's nothing to do inside the bracket, so I can leave it alone. This bracket does have some work to do. So when I'm inside that bracket, I start BEDMAS again. There's nothing in there but subtraction. So the first term I'm going to leave alone. Cleaning up this first bracket, I have a 6. Okay, so now inside this line here, inside those brackets, there's no work to be done, so I can just leave those alone. I do have to move on to exponents, and I have an exponent here. 7 squared is 49, not 14. And then I'm still subtracting 6, and I could keep or drop this bracket here, it doesn't matter. Because there's nothing else being multiplied or used around that 6th term. 49 minus 6 gives me 43. Oops, added a page. Okay, so now let's make it a little bit more visually intimidating. We're still going to use our same strategies for BEDMAS. Are there brackets? Yes, there are. But is there anything to actually do inside the brackets? No. So I don't have to worry about that. Are there exponents? Yes, there's an exponent. So I'm going to leave the top alone. As you start to do more of these, you'll learn there's times where you can do shortcuts. 10 squared is 100. So I've done exponents. Now, division and multiplication we said are interchangeable. So now I don't really want to divide one term by 100 here. That will sort of look a little bit strange for when I try and write it down. So I'm going to actually do all of the multiplication on the top first. So 20 times 5 is 100. 100 times 2 is 200. Okay, so now I've taken care of the multiplication. Now I can do my division. And 200 divided by 100 is 2. Okay, and there are some faster ways to do that problem. I'll share them with you at a later date, but for now, let's just keep going. Whew, this one's got lots of stuff going on in it. Okay, so we have brackets, and we do have some work to do. So 12 minus 9, I could do that bracket first. Now, some of you might be noticing, I could also multiply the 10 and the 2 on this line if I wanted to try and save some writing. But that's okay, we'll write it out. So we've done brackets, we check our brackets again, there's nothing to do inside those brackets. We move to exponents, we can deal with this exponent. Okay, and now there's no division. Now we'll do our multiplication. Okay, and then we have adding left to do, and we end up with 29. Okay, ooh, this one looks nasty. All right, let's try it. So if you want to pause it and give it a shot first, we can do that, or I'll just jump right in. So we do have a bracket we have to do, and we have to go inside this bracket here. And now I'm going to start BEDMAS again. So inside that bracket I have exponents and subtraction. So I have to do a bit of work inside that bracket. Before I can carry on. So I've done the exponent. Now I'm going to do the subtraction inside that bracket. This is still just dealing with that bracket of the first time through. 81 minus 27, 60, 54. There we are. And then I'll leave this alone for now, but I could do that right now as well. So now 54, multiplication comes before subtraction, and that is 21. Whew, that was a long one. Okay, pretty tough numbers there. Just double check, 54, yeah, 21, all right. Now, the one thing I would like to point out is please note the difference. This one here is -2 times -2, and this is especially important for when we do get to calculated work. The answer here is +4. This one over here, though, is different. It's this. The negative sign, because it's not inside the bracket, is not squared, so it doesn't repeat itself. So this answer right here is actually -4. So please, please, please highlight that, make a little note to yourself. Those two things are not exactly the same. Okay, and on your task, please try it without calculators. Start pushing your skill sets a little higher. Yeah, good luck. Thanks for tuning in.